I don't know why I feel I have to say this today. I guess I've been wanting to speak up on something for a while now, and every time I keep telling myself I'm gonna do it, I end up being distracted and pushing it off. And I guess it's also because I feel like maybe I'm not the right person to say anything, and no one really cares. If anyone else had something to say, they would have done it already. Um, and I'm trying my hardest not to sound like a asshole, um, because according to some people, honesty hurts people's feelings. And what I want to be honest about is how I've been processing my friend taking her life. Um, and it's been kind of up and down, um, thinking about and forgetting that she's gone, that she's not here. Um, I keep thinking of sending her videos, I keep thinking of inviting her to places, but I also have been feeling very, very guilty. And for especially like people who are closer to her than I was, I'm sure all of us are feeling like we could have done better. What could we have done to stop it? Why didn't she feel comfortable enough to reach out specifically to help her stop herself from taking her life? And I'm going to apologize ahead of time if what I have to say, because of the person I am and the person that I've become and how I've been working on myself, I've been feeling very guilty. But at the same time, I'm very happy the way I handled it, because if I were to handle our last conversation the way I felt I should have handled it, it could have been like her 13 reason why. Like, I could have been one of the reasons, um because I think our last conversation was stupid, and it's been hurting me, ever since that was our last conversation. And even though we kind of, I guess, clarified things, and you know, at the end of the day, I told her, this is what real friendship is. It's not all, sunshines and fucking rainbows. Anyway, my friendship with Raven was very up and down. I can tell she was very lost, very needy, and didn't know what the fuck to do with herself. And I get it. I get it. I understood it. However, this overinflated personality that she had, that people keep saying that they remember her by, maybe because of my dark nature and because of my morbid brain and how I see the world, they don't see that that was a mask. Because I've gotten to sit down and talk to her and, have conversations about her real life and choices she has made as a human being, mistakes she has made, and her relationships with other people, that how can nobody see that this overly exaggerated, bubbly, cheerful, smiley, she was compensating for the fact that she wanted to off herself. And I'm kind of tired of ignoring that. Everyone, yes, she was very caring. Yes, she was a loving person. She cared about her friends. I saw that. I cared about that. However, I am not the kind of person that can handle overwhelming and exaggerating personalities. They get on my nerve. And as we gotten closer, I was really hoping that she can kind of let herself go, let herself be her around me, because that's what she said she wanted to do and that's how she felt. And with that being said, she told me that she feels like she can put the mask down around me. And I told her that she can. But yet she was constantly over exaggerating everything because she didn't want to be here anymore. And it really pisses me off when the people who really didn't know her, that's all, you didn't get to see who she really was. She was not perfect. She had a rocky relationship with her family, and she was dealing with a lot in her home and with her partner. And I'm not going to say what, because that is not my place and that's a very private conversation. However, I can't imagine what he's going through because of their last situation that they were dealing with. Um, let's just say something really bad had happened, and they were having some troubles, and I can't imagine how horrible that felt for him, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like some parts she wasn't taking accountability for her choices. Like, you are also an adult and you also made some choices. So, you know, anyway, so after a while, I was hoping she'd kind of calm down. We'd spend a little time together, we'd go on hikes together, and she would talk to me about certain things and then kind of go right back to the overinflated, over exaggerated, you know, putting on a mask with a giant fucking smile showing all of the teeth. And it would just annoy me. And I'm literally still in the process of not explaining myself to grown ass adults. If I start moving different, best believe it's because I saw who you are and I see how you move as a person. And so, when you're in the process of trying to deal with your own heavy thoughts and your own dark internal self, you can't be there for someone else who's worse than you. And for a while, I felt like, why couldn't I have helped her more? But that would have put more baggage on myself. And in full transparency, when I found out that she had taken her own life, as painful as it was, and as painful as it still is, all I can think of was, she's at peace. Because apparently she wasn't built for this plane of existence. I feel like maybe she just wasn't ready. She was extremely lost and extremely fucked in the head. And as wonderful as it is to remember her as the person that she was, let's not ignore the dark parts of life. Let's not ignore the shadows, because they are there. We all have them. And I wanted to make this video when I feel most calm, even though I can feel annoyance and anger building in my chest. I didn't want to say something extremely off the wall and be too brutally honest. But with full transparency, I have been struggling with thoughts. I've been dealing with these thoughts my entire life of doing the same. It takes a lot of strength for someone to finally get to that kind of state of mind, and constantly thinking about her and feeling like, same girl, same. And it's hard because even when life is really good, when you're someone who deals with a certain level of depression and a certain level of understanding how truly horrible this plane of existence is because of how humans have made it that way, you don't want to be here. And I don't blame anyone. It just sucks that they didn't have enough willpower within themselves to fight the darker parts of their thoughts. And so with the feeling of feeling guilty, I'm going to explain our last conversation that I've kind of been battling with and wishing that I maybe could have spoken a little more. So there was a period where I was reaching out to friends, and for some reason, none of them were reaching back. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I had to like take a second and realize that maybe they were literally, each of these people were just, probably busy. But like, if you see the message and you still don't answer, that's gonna piss me the fuck off, right? And like, I was already kind of in a pissy mood anyway, and so she didn't answer back, and she sent me something irrelevant, and I snapped on her a little bit. And it was also because I was already built up where I can see that she was complaining about her life and not doing anything about it. And then she was overworking herself to avoid the reality of her life. And she kept worrying about other fucking people instead of worrying about herself. And I was just getting kind of annoyed by it. And and I would, we talked about it, and I told her, like, you need to focus on yourself. You need to do this for yourself. Even when it came to what job she wanted, she worked at Lowe's, but she loved coffee and cafes and Starbucks and stuff like that, and she knew all of this information about it. And I'm like, well, if you do get a job at like some type of cafe, you should take the full-time position because you love it so much. And she was just kind of beat around the bush about it and stay stuck at Lowe's while also still complaining about Lowe's. And I'm like, darling, if this is not helping you, you need to do stuff that's going to make you happy. So she said she was going to counseling or seeing a therapist, and which was great. And I was always asking, how are you and how are your partner? How are things at home? But again, I hate repeating myself. Like, if we're talking every time we meet up and we talk about the same thing, it's gonna be annoying. So I can't even remember what I was asking her that she saw the message, probably completely forgot, and then sent me some random shit that we always send each other. And I kind of snapped on her a little bit. But I called her that night on my drive home, and we talked about it. And then we spent some time, I think it was a couple days after, we spent some time together, and we both, apologized, and I explained to her why I snapped, and, we cleared the air, right? We talked about, it was like 3 hours. She talked about things that she was going through with, her life and what therapy has been putting her through and all this other stuff. And so I was like, all right, cool. This is healthy. This is what we're going to do. And then weeks later, she says she wants to hang out. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking we're going to spend the whole day together like we normally do. We go to Starbucks, and she seemed very eager to give me back one of my tote bags because I had let her borrow it because we were out and about doing stuff. I think we were doing like art stuff, so I let her put her stuff in my bag, and I was like, just give it back to me whenever. You literally live 10 minutes away from my house. Don't worry about it. But she seemed almost desperate to like give it back to me. It was weird. I was like, okay. So we met up at Starbucks, again, talking to the workers at Starbucks, she was extremely overly animated. And I have to just kind of calm down and just let her do her, because this is something that she has to learn how to deal with herself. I am not here to fix anyone. Now, I can sit with you and we can talk about our own darkness within ourselves and understand that we need shadow work, but I am not here to fix you, and I'm not here to be the mommy. I've cut off people who are constantly walking around like this, just hands out, literally begging for someone else to fix them. And it's like, half of that journey is you and you alone. So we sat down, and literally the first like 5 minutes, I was completely lost at what the hell she was talking about. Because she was like, oh, you remember that angry text you sent me? And, you were being really mean. And I was like, huh? Like, I was confused. And she was like, when I saw the message and I forgot to respond or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, what about it? She felt as though we didn't really clarify or clear things up, and that I owed her an apology again. And I'm like, I already apologized. How much more do I need to apologize for when we've already sat down for 3 hours and talked about every detail of what happened and why I felt the way I felt and why you felt the way, like, we had already solved the problem. And she was like, I know it seems weird and you're confused. And I'm like, yes, I am. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And she was just kind of going around and around in circles, repeating the same thing, that I was just being mean. And I was like, no, I was angry. And I explained to you why I was angry. And then I apologized for coming at you the way I was because I was angry. So I wasn't just being mean. But she couldn't let it go. And it had been weeks after. And I was just confused. And I was really I was getting angry again. And I'm like, in my head, I was telling myself, I'm done with this friendship. I'm not doing this. This is really fucking stupid, at the fact that we had already sat down face to face, spent 3 hours talking, and you still need me to apologize to you because you felt I was being mean, even though I had already explained myself multiple times. And then I'm also apologizing once again? No, absolutely not. And this is where people normally start to call me the asshole or call me a bitch, because of how just I don't give a fuck anymore. I have already crossed that. And as she's still explaining that, like, her counselor told her to kind of express herself, and I'm trying to pull it out like I'm pulling teeth. I'm literally asking her 3 times, what exactly made you feel I was being mean? Because I already told you that it was your actions that made me angry, and it was you who put me in that position, but I still apologize because, yeah, maybe I should have came out a different way. And I apologize for that. But then again, friendships aren't perfect. So what is it specifically that I said that you can't let go? What is it specifically? And she couldn't even give me an answer. She couldn't even give me this is exactly this specifically, because it's never, people try to give you a bunch of other things just to kind of also cover up what they're trying to get to make you figure out why they're angry. No, give me the exact specifics of what I did so that I can fix it. And I asked her 3 fucking times and she didn't know what the fuck to tell me. She just kept going around in fucking circles. And I'm like, okay, you know what? In my mind, as she's talking, I'm telling myself, this is not a friendship I can stay in. This is not maybe a cool going out and we can have fun, but on a deep personal level, she cannot handle me as a real fucking friend because I might hurt her feelings. And I'm so fucking tired of this wave of fluffy fucking bunnies that don't know how to fucking process themselves and take accountability, or think that just general honesty is too brutal honest. There's nothing brutal about honesty unless it's how it, like, if I'm sitting down and calmly trying to tell you something, how is that brutal? Just because your fucking asshole is sensitive, that doesn't mean that the person coming at you is being mean. I'm being honest. And so I was looking at her as she was explaining, and she looked like she was gonna cry. Like her eyes were glossing over. And I'm like, and so that made my eyes gloss over. And I'm like, do you need to cry right now? And she's like, no. And I'm like, you sure about that? Because you look like you're gonna cry and that's gonna make me cry. Like, are you alright? Do you need a hug? So I gave her a hug and I sat down, and in that moment, like, I thought, okay, something else is going on here. This conversation is stupid. That's why she can't give me a straightforward answer. But within that same moment, I was like, I'm not gonna dig any deeper. Clearly, she doesn't see that I'm close enough for her to even explain herself correctly. And clearly, I'm already dealing with my own fucking issues in my head. I don't have the patience to put someone else's weight on my shoulders. And it sucks. It really sucks. The timing sucks. And so I kind of I nodded and I spoke softly and I patted her on her head and gave her a hug and told her everything's gonna be okay, and told her, you want a real friendship, we're not gonna be happy all the time. We're gonna get mad at each other. You can't expect you or me to never get mad at each other. What matters is how we handle fixing that. And she was just like, like, it kind of just felt like it was going over her head. And now thinking about it, it probably was, because all she was thinking about is, I'm going to clear my slate. I'm going to make sure I have no hatred with anyone that I care about so that I can off myself. That's how I see it. That's how it makes sense, because like this whole interaction was so fucking pointless. And the guilt that I feel is not being able to like sit there and be like, okay, what the fuck is really going on? Raven, you're not making any fucking sense. If there's something you really need to talk about, let's fucking talk about it. Like, I need you to dig deeper. And then, not only that, it pissed me off because she made it seem like we were gonna spend the whole day together, and then she, like, overbooked me or something. I don't fucking know. Another random friend of hers decided to, like, meet up, and she was like, oh, he got out of work early. Like, she did, managing stuff was not her. No, it was just, every time was kind of chaotic. Every time we met up trying to like figure out how to plan to go out was just always chaotic. And if I'm constantly trying to plan and work my way around you and it's just constant chaos every time we try to hang out, I'm not hanging out with you anymore. It's just that fucking simple. No, I can't do it anymore. I need structure, period. So I'm thinking, okay, after this conversation, we're probably going to go for a walk. Maybe I can, talk more. Maybe she might be able to. No. Friend came to pick her up, and she was like, okay. We hugged it out, and she walked off. And I'm like, I left feeling heavy and annoyed and, like, bothered by the whole interaction. And I'm like, okay, you know what? We said our piece. We apologized for a third time. Hopefully, maybe now she can just live her life the way she needs to, and we could just keep our friendship on a normal basis. Maybe we're not meant to be as close as I kind of initially wanted. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If we're not meant to be like sisterhood and best friends forever. I was like, fine. I took it as it was. But the more I kept analyzing it, I was just like, this is dumb. Is this how everyone thinks? Like, what the fuck is going on? So things moved on, went forward. Um, then I found out through another friend of mine, because I really don't fuck with Facebook like that. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't like Facebook. I have it because of the groups that I'm a part of. I'm definitely more Instagram and TikTok. And I try to do my YouTube stuff every now and then. I don't know what it is about Facebook. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Anyway, I had went on a beautiful hike with my dog that morning, and it was great. And then my friend texted me saying, I am so sorry for your loss. And I'm like, huh? Kind of caught me off guard. And she told me that she had took her life. And so I went on Facebook, and that first hour I kept thinking that this is a joke. Somebody hacked into her profile and was doing this. Like, I couldn't, denial was very hard. It was very in my face, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, this cannot be real. And so I just kept reading all of the posts, all of the comments from her partner and like all her other friends, and I'm like, and there's one friend that she has on there, and I'm not gonna say her name because I don't know her, but I see they must have been closer than me and her was, despite the personal conversations that we had. She had commented that she had just spoken to her and just told her that if she needed anything or if she felt some type of way, she can pick up the phone and call her, that she would be there for her. And I feel as though once somebody already has that in their mind, no one's gonna know that they're gonna do it. And I kept telling her, because she kept worrying about a coworker of hers who kept dangling his life over her head, you know, and she was worried because she had lost friends, you know, that way before, and she was like, I can't help but, and I'm like, you realize he could be doing that because he likes you. You realize he could be doing that because he wants you to feel sympathy. Someone who really wants to off themselves is not going to dangle it in someone's face for a year and be like, well, yeah, this is probably the time I'm going to do it. No, we don't actually talk about it very often. And I say we because I've thought about it multiple times. We don't constantly bring it up. We don't constantly let people know. We don't and that could be the scary thing about it, you know? But I'm like, you realize you need to take care of yourself. Stop worrying about this person or you're going to end up like them. Like, this is going to drive you crazy. Look at it now. So, you know, knowing that there were people, despite that I was like feeling guilty that I couldn't be there better than I had because of my own issues, she had people, she had friends that were closer to her and were ready to fight in arms for her. And it sucks that once you reach that certain level of your shadow that you cannot escape it, no one can change your mind. There's a threshold that you walk past that no matter how many hands are being held out, you are the only fucking person that can get you out of it. And that's a very hard thing to get out of. It is extremely suffocating. And if you haven't felt this suffocating feeling before, if you haven't felt the weight of what's like a black hole in your head and in your chest, and the voices just telling you it's not worth it, no one can get you out of that. The willpower has to be you and you alone. And a lot of people don't know how to stand alone. And I get that because one of my biggest fears is being utterly alone with literally no one. Despite the fact that I love my own company and I love my own space, no human being wants to be utterly alone. And if you do, get help. Because that's not normal. That's not okay. There's something wrong up here. You might be a psychopath. Anyway, it has been a bit of a struggle for me because I have been working on myself and I have found something that helps me cope after, speaking with someone and still wanting to actually get a proper diagnosis of myself the moment I can do that. My practice is what keeps me going. You have to find something that makes you happy. You cannot plant your happiness on someone else. You have to feed that plant. You have to feed that flower. You have to give the right soil, put the right water. You have to do that yourself to be able to keep going. And my practice does that for me. And I know she was trying so many different things. Like, she wanted me to help her with her art. And I wasn't going to sugarcoat it for her either. Her art looked like a 5-year-old drawing. The concepts were there. The ideas were there. And I loved the ideas of where it was going. But I told her, you want to get better, you just have to keep doing it. It literally is just that. Just keep practicing. That's it. Like, there's no specific techniques of, do this in a week and your art is going to be absolutely beautiful. No, it's not. And she did a market once, as far as I know. I shared a table with her once, and she didn't sell anything. And I'm like, sweetheart, you have to keep going. You know how many times I've done a market and I sold maybe one thing? If any? Like, the market is a hit or miss. Like, you can't just do it once and expect to be sold out and your table empty. It doesn't work that way. She gave up. I told her anytime she wanted to come to a market with me, she was more than welcome. I didn't mind sharing my table. She got into therapy, tried to get back into music because we know coffee and music was her biggest fucking thing. And, she'd come to my house and she'd practice her guitar. And I told her, just don't stop. You have to keep going. And that's probably the hardest part, is consistency. Being consistent. People who have mental struggles, it is very hard to be consistent. Even with things that you love doing, there's like this thing that forces you to procrastinate because you feel like, I don't want to. I'm not physically in the mood. No, you have to push yourself. Even if you're obsessed with something, you have to push it. Like, it's hard for us to stay stuck to something. And I also speak for myself because my art has been a part of my entire fucking life. And my mind would have all these, it's an overwhelming things of ideas, and not every idea is a banger, right? However, getting them down, getting them out of my head. But then when I want to do it, physically I'm just like, But my brain is like, oh, this, we can do this. Oh, we should try this, we should experiment, this. You have to figure out your own routine. You have to just sit down with yourself and talk to yourself. And some people just, they don't make it. They don't have it, and it's like, and hippy dippy shit aside, whether you're believe in anything or an atheist, it doesn't matter. I feel like there's such a giant disconnect between us and the planet, and I feel that's why a lot of us are fucked up in the head. And I will die on that hill, because this planet is our home. This planet literally gives us every single thing we need to just be alive. Now, the evolution of human and humanity and man, that's a whole nother fucking shitball in itself. But down to the core of human being, all of us need to reconnect with the feeling nature gives you when you actually sit in it, and kind of just the fact that society has built this way of living that we think it's normal to be like, oh, I need to let go of reality. Reality's too much, so I need a break from reality. I need a break from my job. I need a break from family, a break from my friends, a break from everything. Like, damn. Society had made it to the point where it's like, we need a break from being alive. We need a break from reality. Like, reality shouldn't be this fucked up and difficult, because everything we need is right here. It's right here in the fucking planet that we were landed on, born on, was given, whatever the fuck it is. It's here. And I feel like we're just missing it. We're missing it completely. Something made a horrible left turn and destroyed the human part of being a human being, if that makes any sense. Anyway, as beautiful as a person that Raven was, she was broken wholeheartedly. And for those who didn't know her, you wouldn't know that. Life was very hard on her, and she didn't know how to get a handle of it. She didn't know where to go. She didn't know what to do, who to trust. She didn't know how many people actually cared about her. And it's really bad and really sucks. And I'm not trying to paint her out as this horrible person, because she's not. But we do need to acknowledge that and pay attention to, if someone is being a bit too much, in my opinion, people who are really struggling, they don't want others to know that. They don't want others to see it, and so they have to lather on and over exaggerate what they're feeling just to compensate, not acknowledging that they're fucking dying inside. And it sucks that some people can't sit in that and work with it, because it will literally kill you. Anyway, I hope everyone who truly cared about her is handling their grief and their feeling guilty and is doing better. Because at the end of the day, we all loved her and cared about her, and will still love and care for her.